What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bring you incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is a real estate franchise developer, an adventurous globe trotter, an entrepreneur. Please welcome Karim Kerachni.
Kerachni, that's right. Thank you, Deanna.
Welcome, Karim. Welcome. Why don't you tell the audience where you are today? What part of the world you're in?
Absolutely. Thank you, Deanna. Thank you for having me here. So I am in Malaysia right now. I'm on an island off the coast of Malaysia. And earlier this week, I was telling you I was in Cambodia. And I traveled quite a bit.
So what, before we get into all your other stuff, what other countries do you want to travel to that you haven't been to yet?
South America, Latin and South America, I haven't been yet at all. I've done most of Southeast Asia, most of Europe, most of the US, North America. I've been in Canada for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And before that, I grew up in France. So, North America, Europe, I've done. But South America and Australia, New Zealand has been top of my bucket list for a while.
That's on my bucket list too. We're very popular in Australia. The show is very popular in Australia, Spain. I don't know if we're on the radar for Malaysia, but we are in the top 2% in those countries. So Australia's always been my on my bucket list since I was little. So I'm hoping to make it there one day. And I've got so many guests from there that they're come over. You have somewhere to stay. And I'm like, this is great,
I was gonna say, go meet your audience, go meet your guests.
Yeah. Well, I told my husband, I said, if we ever make it to Australia, we got places to stay. So we don't have to worry about getting a hotel or anything like that. Well, okay, let's jump into your entrepreneur background, which I love my entrepreneurs. We're here. We are all so unique, and we have so many gifts to share with the world, and all our stories are so very unique as well. So, how did you get into, I guess, where you're at with propertyguys.com? Because that's not your first. This isn't your first?
No.
Right.
No, it's not. So, just to go back a few years, I've been in sales and management for now 12, 13 years, first in France, then in Western Canada, then Eastern Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia. And just a few months after moving to Halifax, I discovered a real demand in cleaning.
Yeah.
I had no particular passion for cleaning, but when there is a demand, I see an opportunity. I decided, hey, why not starting a cleaning company? Fast forward, almost 5 years later, now we have 2 branches. Pretty big team management. It's very self-sustained. I don't really need. There isn't much involvement from me and my now business partner. And so along the way, I came across another opportunity. I discovered propertyguys.com, which is not my company. It's a 25-year-old company, very popular in Canada. They're everywhere, coast to coast. It's just as big as Remax or Coldwell Banker, just to give you an idea.
Okay.
Yeah, in Canada. And so when I came across, someone brought that to my attention. I immediately loved the concept. I actually felt it was too good to be true.
Yeah.
I can give you just in 2 sentences what they do. They basically offer an alternative solution to the traditional real estate model. Okay. Different way of doing real estate, very unique. There is literally nothing else out there that is similar. And basically, if you want to sell a property, instead of getting a realtor, paying a commission, getting a lawyer, photographer, stager, appraiser, and so on and so forth. I mean, the bill gets very big nowadays. Yeah. So instead, with Property Guys, you choose a package that contains all the services that you need, as much or as little service as you need. And this package is a one-time flat fee. Nice. So you basically pay for the services included instead of based on the value of your property, which doesn't really make sense when you think about it, right? To pay more because your house is worth more.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's what Property Guys does. Typically for 4, 5, 6 grand, you can sell any kind of property, residential, commercial, big or small. So yeah, when I found out that what Property Guys does, how popular it is, and their franchise model, I wanted to get involved, and it turned out that I got involved in their growth in the U.S., specifically Massachusetts. And I wanted to bring that opportunity, to a new country and to a new state. And so I'm in charge of the franchise development in Massachusetts, so finding
Wow.
franchisees.
So
Yeah.
they're expanding across the U.S. then.
They're expanding across the US, state by state. So Texas, Florida, then Massachusetts and Connecticut, or four right now,
Yeah.
expanding in the US. Just in the past 2 years, it's very, very new
Wow.
in the US. In South Africa as well. Actually, a few years ago, they opened in South Africa.
That's amazing. So this is probably a really good option for people that want to sell their homes by owner, for sale by owner, right?
Absolutely, yeah, that's absolutely right. That's how it started. Actually, Property Guys started as a way to help those for sale by owners who, decided they want to sell on their own. They don't want, a realtor for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And but often they don't have, the tools, the knowledge, the services, and so on.
Right.
So that's what Property Guys came to offer. And over time, it expanded to, the entire market. Really, anyone who wants to sell a property, whether it is a first time home seller, an investor, commercial property. And they're even playing in the rental space, as well as the buying as well. So it expanded in terms of services and reach.
So kind of like, what is one of your competitors? I can't think of the name right now.
So that's actually what I was saying earlier. It's very unique. There is no direct competition in the sense of someone that does what we do the way we do it. The kind of competition are realtors, traditional agents.
Okay.
You might be thinking of discount brokerages that offer, instead of offering 5%, they offer 2-3%, but the result is the same. You still have to pay a large amount, 15, 20, 50 grand.
Yeah, no, it can get up there. I mean, I own my we have several properties actually, and I've rented out, I've had commercial properties, so I kind of know, when it comes to real estate, there's a lot of people's hands that are in your pocket when you're selling or buying or something like that. So, I mean, I think this is a great option to help people reduce their costs and their, when they're selling a property.
Exactly. Reduce the cost and choose the level of control they want.
Yeah.
So when I said 4, 5, 6 grand, that's for the full service package that contains everything you need, exposure, lawyer, and etc. If you want to be a little bit more hands-on as a seller, to do your own showings or to do your own photography and so on, it's a lot less. It can be, $1,500 or something to sell your property. So you choose the level of control and you save a ton of money every single time.
That's amazing. And so now propertyguys.com, people that have the different locations across Canada and the United States, they are franchises.
That's correct. Yeah, there is about 100 franchise up and running right now in Canada. Okay. We've had hundreds of franchisees over the years. And so franchisee basically owns an exclusive territory, so a piece of the map where they're the only one. And so the benefit of it being, well, first you're one out of one. You don't have to compete with, anyone else. You actually even collaborate with your neighboring franchisee. So that's, very different than the traditional model. And you stand out from the crowd, in your offering, compared to, again, 27,000 agents in Massachusetts that do the exact, have the exact same value proposition. So when you're doing something a little bit different, it just makes sense. Anyways, I don't want to go through all the benefits of being a franchisee, because there are many, being a business owner instead of a contractor,
Sure.
And so on and so forth, having a whole team behind for support, for lead generation, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah.
Well, how hard or how easy is it, I should say, to become a franchise? What is there? Can you share that, like what the buy-in would be if somebody's interested in starting a franchise?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my job is not just to actually sell the franchises. I like to say I award those franchises, because we do get lots of people reaching out, and my job is really to select the best fit. And the best fit, believe it or not, does not have to be someone from the real estate industry already, or even from business, business entrepreneurship or whatnot. It's really just someone who has this desire to start something of their own, whether it is their first business or their 10th. Someone who is interested in real estate, but doesn't necessarily want to, get their license, because a franchisee does not need to get a license.
Okay.
They can, but they don't need to. So it opens the door to, we have some teachers and nurses and veterans who just, want to start their first business, be their own boss. But obviously, I mean, that being said, a large portion of our franchisee came from the real estate industry. Some agents who want to do things differently, have a higher income, mortgage brokers who wants to have this double hat, mortgage broker and franchisee.
Yeah.
You can double dip and, maximize profit. And so to answer your question, what's the process to become a franchisee? So it's a lot of communication, educating. My job is really to make sure that they understand the model and the opportunity. I connect them with some active franchisee, and that's something very important. When you're looking for a franchise, if the franchisor tells you, no, don't talk to my franchisee, that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
Actually super open. We connect them with some franchisee. We share, the FDD and so on. Long story short, there is a process that takes 3 weeks to 3 months, depending on who, who we're dealing with. And the franchise right now in Massachusetts are between 30 and 40,000. So we make them very affordable as we're, just starting in the state.
Not bad.
Absolutely. It's made on purpose, affordable. It will be more in the future, but right now I want to make it easy for franchisees to get started. And so the best part is the training process. We call that Property Guys University. It's a very thorough training process that goes through, everything that you need to know to be successful, from the market, the industry, running a business, how to get started, social media, and so on and so forth. And then there is some ongoing support for the following few months with a coach and another franchisee that helps the new franchisee to get started. Because, it's in our best interest, Property Guys and myself, to have successful franchisee. That's how we can grow across the state and across the state.
Yeah. What would somebody says, okay, I'm interested in this, I've got the money to do this. Like, how does this benefit me if I'm like going into a new territory? Do I have support in expanding and learning how to promote and market this business of mine?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, there is a lot of training initially, but then the training and the learning is ongoing. There is a lot of materials, a lot of training sessions that are ongoing, even for a franchisee that's been in the system for 5 or 10 years. And so, yes, there is a lot of support, but more than that, and that's one of the benefits of having a franchise, in general, is all the services provided by the franchise or by a home office to each franchisee. So, we have a marketing department that provides, all the designs, all the, the strategy and so on, and even does marketing, nationwide. And I'm in charge of the marketing statewide, and the franchisee is just in charge of the marketing and social media locally in their territory. We have a call center that take on calls from potential buyers or potential sellers, qualify those buyers, take them through the process. So there is a lot of service and value provided to the franchisee in order to help them focus on just their local business development, being out there, being the face of the company, and, putting those signs all over the place.
So, I love it. What's the ROI?
What's the ROI? It's actually, I'm so glad you asked that question, because I wanted to mention it earlier. Not only the initial cost is pretty low, but even the ongoing expenses, it's pretty low overhead, because you don't need to get an office, a store. You don't need to get a team or anything like that. You don't have any salary to pay. So I said 30 to 40,000 to buy a territory. It's about 30 to 60,000 to operate it for 1 year. For your first year. And because you start making money right away, you can have an ROI typically within 6 to 12 months. Because the franchisee's goal is to work on volume. Yes, each listing is typically 5-6 grand, but typically they work with on average 80 to 120 listings or more per year. Which is 10 times more than any given agent.
In the first year, do they break even, or are they in a profit? Do they have a profit, within that first year?
Oh, usually they make profit from their first year. Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so if it's a new, like if you're expanding into a new territory, so you mentioned like Florida, Texas, now these are all new territories for you?
That's right. Yeah. So I'm in charge of Massachusetts, but I do help also my colleagues in the other states. Texas, Florida started a little bit before me, and Connecticut started slightly after me.
And then what is so if somebody's listening to this and like, okay, like in Illinois, for example, I'm in Chicago. If I'm like, okay, I'm interested. Now, what does that look like if they reach out to propertyguys.com and say, hey, are you going to be starting putting your footprint here in Illinois soon? What do they say to that?
Well, I actually don't know. We most likely have some, some people interested in doing what I do in each
Okay.
of those states.
Yeah.
I don't have that information, but what property guide would probably tell them is, give them the opportunity to actually be the franchise developer for that state.
Oh, okay.
And as a franchise developer, you have the option to also be a franchisee yourself.
Okay.
Since I'm traveling, year round, as I told you,
Yeah.
that's not something that I'm intending to do currently. But a franchise developer can be a franchisee, and even sometimes should be, because
Yeah.
he would be the leading by example in
Sure.
his state.
Yeah. So they don't say no to an area in the U.S. that has not been tapped yet.
No, no, actually, we welcome them if it's someone qualified, if it's someone who's
Yeah.
who's motivated. It really believe people who believe in the value that we're offering and the
Sure.
vision that we have for the industry. Those are the type of people we're looking to connect with. Yeah.
I think it's very innovative and kind of cutting edge to like kind of take some of those middlemen out of the whole real estate process because, like you mentioned, just the fees can just add up over time or just however many hands you have in your pocket. So I think it's a really great and a great option for people out there that are, maybe are dabbling in selling and buying, selling and buying, yeah, real estate. Well, well, losing my
Yeah,
train of thought there.
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like good for them. You like so someone like me that owns a couple properties and say I want to sell like one of my rental properties and buy another one, that would be a good option for me.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And funny enough, I was talking with a colleague at home office, and I learned that recently a lot of our franchisee over the years were clients initially, someone who used the model, and were amazed in the process, the smooth bets and the value that they got, the savings especially, and they looked into becoming franchisee. So we've had some very successful franchisee that initially just were clients of Property Guide.
Yeah, that's amazing. Where can people connect with you to learn more and if they're interested in applying to be a franchisee?
Absolutely. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn is Karim Kerachni MBA, I think. They can shoot me a text. We can probably put my number in description, but it's 857-308-1234. Pretty easy. And simply by Googling Property Guys Massachusetts, they will find me.
Excellent. You guys are going to put those links and his number in the show notes. So don't hesitate to reach out to Karim if you are interested in learning a little bit more about propertyguys.com, as you can see there on the screen. Or if you're listening, you just go click that link in the show notes and go follow him on LinkedIn. That's a great way to connect and network with others, especially in this day and age with social media. Before I get into the last words of wisdom or advice, I want to know, where are you off to after Malaysia, Karim?
That's a good question. We were just talking about it with my wife earlier. We might be back to either France, because that's where my family is, and I haven't seen them in over a year, or Canada, because that's where her family is and where my home technically is.
No, go
So
back to
we're in
home.
between.
For either way, it's going to be like home for either one of you, right?
I mean, for a while, but I mean, we're talking, 3 to 6 months from now. While we're, one of the cool thing in Southeast Asia, I don't know if you've been, but every country, we're very close to Thailand,
Yeah.
Vietnam, Laos, Philippines. So we still have to, for a weekend, we can go to Indonesia or to
Yeah.
Thailand across the border. So that's pretty neat and something we want to take advantage of.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm envious of your travel because I want to travel so badly. So I'll be living vicariously through you. So Kareem, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
Um, Okay, so something that has been very valuable for me in my entire career, my whole professional life, is networking, surrounding yourself with successful people, and don't hesitate to be out there. Whether it is on LinkedIn or else, find people that are successful, people that are where you'd like to be,
Yeah.
and reach out, connect. Be open to learning from them. Be open to failure and learning from their failures and your own.
Yeah.
So having this open-mindedness and this ability to network and connect with people is something really important to develop.
I love it. Yeah, I'm a big believer in networking. Always be networking and
Yeah.
connecting with others. You should always be connecting with people. Kareem, thank you so much for sharing your story. So happy to listen to you like stepping outside of the box and creating a life of it on purpose for yourself and your wife. It is beautiful. That's the whole reason for my show, is listening to people like yourself that have made it work how you want it to look, right? Because not everybody, people get scared to, oh my God, this might not work for me, but it's possible. It is possible.
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you so much for inviting me, Deanna. It was an actual true pleasure. And I hope that brought, some good value to your audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. People go to propertyguys.com if you're interested in being a franchisee and traveling the world globally like Karim here. He is a great example of what it looks like to step outside of the box and actually pursue your dreams and your goals. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.